How's it going, everyone? And welcome to Everlasting Summer. So this is a visual novel about a young man in a kind of Soviet pioneer camp, but don't unsubscribe yet. It actually goes far beyond that, and it's a pretty interesting story, apparently. So let's get into it, shall we? By the way, I have the special developers version, the uncensored version, which I may still have to recensor for YouTube, but we'll see. So obviously this is a visual novel. If that's not your thing, then please don't watch. But if you do, then enjoy yourself. Relax, we're gonna have a great time. I was having that dream once again. That dream. The same thing every night. But it's all forgotten in the morning, as usual. Maybe it's for the best. Only a glimpse of memory will remain, of gates, half opened as if inviting me somewhere, with two frozen stone pioneers standing close by. And also that strange girl, who keeps asking me, will you come with me? Come? But where? And why? Where am I anyway? Of course, if it all happened in real life, I would certainly have been scared. Well, what else would you expect me to feel? But this is just a dream. The same one I see every night. There must be a reason. You don't have to know where or why to realize something is really happening. Something desperately seeking my attention. Since everything that surrounds me here is real as things in my own flat, I could open the gates, hear the hinges creak, brush the crumbling rust away with my hand, inhale the fresh cool air, and shiver from the cold. I could, but to do that, I would need to pick myself up, take a step, move my hand. But this is a dream, I understand that. But what of it? What does my understanding change? Because here it's just like on the other side of the cracked screen of an old TV, which struggles to fight against static noise and strives to show its audience everything without missing a single detail. But the picture is getting blurry. I must be waking up soon. Maybe I should ask her something. The girl, what's her name? About the stars, for instance. Why the stars, though? I'd rather ask about the gates. I'd rather ask about the gates. Yes, the gates. She would be so surprised. Or better, why the dot over an I was called a title, but the dot over a J was called a superscript dot. It's a weird thing to ask. Nice letters. As if they don't exist anymore. Still, what do letters, gates and stars have to do with this place? Because even if I'm having this dream every night, which will be forgotten soon enough anyway, I've got to look for the answers here and now. And there, if you look carefully, you can see the Magellanic Clouds. I think those are those huge clouds that look like ships, and they're really high up in the sky. As if I'd ended up in the southern hemisphere. In a dream, there are small things that catch your attention. An unnatural color of grass, impossible curves of straight lines, or your own distorted reflection, while the real danger, which could put an end to everything right here and now, seems trivial. You know, whenever I dream, I'd never see the details. The details are things that don't catch my eye. I think Leonardo DiCaprio would agree with me. It's natural, since here you cannot die. I know it for sure, I've done it hundreds of times. But if you cannot die, is there a point in living? I should ask the girl. She's a local, she should know. Yes, exactly. I should ask her about the owl, for example. One strange bird it is, though it doesn't matter. Will you come with me? And every time I have to answer, it's the only way, otherwise the dream will never end, and I will never wake up. Every time it's so hard to decide on the answer. Where am I? What am I doing here? Who is she? And why does so much in my life depend on this answer? Or maybe it doesn't. Actually, that reminds me, I too have had dreams when I was growing up and stuff, where it's the same dream over and over and over again, about 5 times in a row. And actually, when I'm asleep, I'm in my own house. Have you guys had something like that? Have you guys ever had something like that? It's weird, but cool, I guess. Or maybe it doesn't. It's just a dream after all. Just a dream. Ah. My keyboard. I'm playing on a keyboard, looking at a keyboard. I guess I'm dozing off while typing. That used to happen a lot at university. Chan, 4chan, Rue. The computer screen stared at me as if it was alive. You need sleep, buddy. Sometimes it really did seem to me that it was conscious of itself, had its own thoughts and wishes, ambitions, that it had feelings, could love and suffer. As if in our relationship, the screen wasn't an instrument. It was me who was a lifeless piece of plastic and textilite. There is some truth in that, probably because the computer provides 90% of my communication with the outside world. What is that? That's some kind of girl, and that's clay, so that's glue. I don't know. Anonymous image boards, some chats from time to time, rarely ICQ or Jabber, and forums even more rarely. Zzz. People on the other end of the internet cable simply do not exist. All of them are simply creations of its sick imagination, an error in the source code or a kernel bug which started living a life of its own. Is that a chandelier? Yeah, it was. If one looked at my existence from the outside, such thoughts would seem crazy, and a psychologist would surely give me a bunch of sophisticated diagnosis, and maybe write me a doctor's referral to the loony bin. Yes, they surely would. It's all silent. So this is the introduction. I guess it's picking up rather slowly, but it's supposed to take place at a camp. A small apartment with no signs of repair or any semblance of order in it, and as always the same view out of the window on the grey megalopolis, running somewhere day and night. Such are the conditions of my life. Well, they certainly nailed down the music. Well, of course, it didn't start like this. I was born, went to school, finished it, like all the others. I was accepted at a university, where I spent a year and a half trailing behind and struggling. I drifted through several jobs. Sometimes it was working out quite well, sometimes I was even getting decent money for it. But it all felt like it was not mine, as if it was taken from another man's biography. I wasn't living life to its fullest. It was looping over and over in monotonous cycles. I think plenty of people have felt like that. Like in the movie Groundhog Day. I've never seen that. It's just that I had no choice in how to spend my day, and every day repeated itself. The same vicious spiral. A spiral of emptiness, misery and despair. For the last few years, I just sat in front of the screen all day. Sometimes there were menial jobs, sometimes my parents helped me. All in all, I was able to provide for myself. No wonder really, since my needs are quite minor. I hardly ever leave my home, and my communication with other people almost exclusively consists of online correspondences with the anonymous, who have no real name, no gender, no age. So in brief, quite typical life of a quite typical antisocial person of his time. Kind of Donnie Darko on a minor scale, without doomsday-related visions. Maybe some highly respected author will write a novel about me, and it will become a contemporary classic of modern literature. Or I'll write one myself. That's a good idea. However, what's the point of fooling myself? I tried many times, but couldn't even come up with a simple short story. Well, you kind of have already. I tried to learn many other things as well. Not gifted enough to draw. Programming? Got bored. Foreign languages? Takes too much time. Now that is not the way to look at it. The only thing I loved doing was reading, and still I never would have called myself a scholar. Perhaps I was an ace at watching anime and a grandmaster of lame internet jokes. If I were to get paid for it, I would probably be a happier person, and a richer person too. But I doubt it would fill the hole inside me. Today was another typical day of a typical failures, typical life. Now it's getting so down. I thought it would be like a much happier story. Or Wilson. And today is the day when I have to go to my university reunion. Those usually kind of suck. Well, I guess they're better than high school reunions. Depending on the people. Frankly speaking, I really didn't want to. What is the point? The time I spent with them was so short. However, I was persuaded by a friend, my former university mate, and one of the few whom I kept in touch other than through the internet. A good friend is hard to find, and they stick through you, through high school, through university. Most of them anyway. Guess I'm driving. Am I on narcotics or something? Why is everything so blurry? Oh, there we go. Ah, nice. A frosty evening. Truly. But bus stop. Waiting. I never like winter. I love winter. When I was growing up in England, it never snowed for the first 12 years of my life. It snowed like twice. We only ever had icicles during the winter period, but now every year it snows like crazy. And I love it, even though the whole country shuts down. Though hot summer is not my season either. It's just that I see no reason to point out any particular time of the year. It doesn't matter how much the weather is outside when you stay at home 24/7. The bus today was running so late that I was about to curse it all and spend my last few hundred rubles for a taxi. I guess that'd be like 20 bucks. The idea of just running home didn't cross my mind for some reason. As usual, millions of thoughts flew through my mind, but there was not a single useful one to seize on. Such a thought that could bring into existence, give a shape, turn into an idea and put into practice. Maybe I could start my own business, but where would I get the money from? Or maybe I could go back to working in an office? No way. Maybe I should try freelancing. Yeah, be your own boss. But what skills do I have and who would want me after all? I suddenly remembered my childhood. Or rather, my teen years. The time when I was 15 to 17 years old. Why exactly those years? No idea. I guess it's because back then, everything was much more simple. Everything is much more simple, although it seems much more complicated. It was easier to make decisions, so complicated now, and so simple then. Waking up in the morning, I knew exactly how my day was going to pass, and I always eagerly looked forward to the weekend. Then I could get some rest and have time for the things I liked. Computer, football, going out with friends. And then, at the beginning of the next week, I'd take up my studies again. Back then, there were no such worrying questions like why, who needs it, what will change if I do it, or what will not change. A simple lifestyle, so casual for any normal person, and so odd to myself today. That careless childhood age. It was also then that I met my first love. Her appearance and personality have vanished from my memory. Only her name remains, like a brief line from a social network profile, along with the feelings which overwhelmed me when I was with her. Affection, tenderness, the desire to care for and to protect her. Sadly, it didn't last long. Today, I can hardly imagine something like that happening. I would probably like to meet a girl, but I don't know how to start a conversation, what on earth to discuss, and how to attract her. Well, I haven't met any suitable girls for a long time. But where could I meet one anyway? To be young. The sound of an engine brought me back to reality. The bus. The 410 bus. A bus pulled over. There was something abnormal about it, I thought. Then again, it doesn't matter. Only the 410 runs this route. That might be a tram. I'm not sure. Kinda looks like a tram. Oh gosh. Red light. L on wheels. Street lights pass me by. It's as if their cold light sparks inside of me, trying to ignite feelings long dead. Or maybe not ignite, just awaken them. Because those feelings, they have been living in me for a long time, slumbering and waking up again. The driver's radio was playing some very familiar tune, but I wasn't listening to it. Kinda sounds like that's outside. The driver's radio was playing some familiar tune. I was watching the cars passing by through the fogged up window, because people are always rushing somewhere, chasing something they need, stuck in their own little worlds. Why would they care about mine? That's humanity, I guess. They probably have their own serious problems, or maybe they have much easier lives. Maybe. You can't know for sure, since all people are different. Very true, or are they? Sometimes, someone's actions can easily be predicted, but if you try to look inside his soul, you will only see impenetrable darkness. Haven't tried myself. The bus was approaching downtown, and my thoughts were interrupted by the bright city lights. Hundreds of billboards, thousands of cars, millions of people. I watched this light show and somehow I got terribly sleepy. So now we're going to dream again. Oh man, the snowflakes. By the way, this game is made by Japanese people. It's a Soviet-era game made by Japan. Made in Japan. I thought that's pretty cool. Oh wow. Beautiful. Oh wow. I guess that's why it's called Everlasting Summer. A girl. Slava. Lena. I guess that's like Sarah in English. Oh gosh. Uliana. I guess that's some kind of thing like Julie. Alusa. Alice? Muki. Muku. No. Miku. Miku. Everlasting Summer. Day 1. It's like the Twilight Zone. Bright daylight struck my eyes. Now things are getting interesting. At first I didn't pay attention, as if I wasn't fully awake yet. On their own, my legs carried me towards the door. Simon. Damn, looks like I fell asleep and missed my stop. Okay, so our main character is called Simon. But there was no door. No door. I looked around the bus and realized that it wasn't a good old worn-out Liaz. Instead, the bus was an Icarus model, a new one. I froze in shock. How? What? Am I dead? Have I been kidnapped? No, I must be dead. I patted myself down feverishly, slapping myself painfully in the face a few times, banged my forehead on the back of one of the bus seats. Wake up! Wake up, man! It's clear, either I'm still alive or you can still feel pain when you're dead. Probably the last one. But how could this happen? Maybe I slept for too long and ended up at the bus depot. That has never actually happened to me, but I have left things at the bus depot. And then what? Did they put me onto another bus? No. I rushed out and took a look around. I thought you said there was no door. Greenery wherever I looked. Tall green grass. On the roadside, trees, flowers. Summer, but how? Oh, it was winter just a moment ago. My head was aching unbearably, as if it was going to explode. Slowly, I began to remember. I think I just fell asleep. I got off the bus. Oh, a long road running off into the distance. Forests, plains, fields, lakes, and forests again. I think I was sleeping, but then how? I remember all of it. And then, I can't. Some girl leaning over me. She softly whispered something into my ear. Then I gap again. Wow, things are really getting interesting. And then I woke up here. Who was that strange girl? The same one from the dream? Or was she just a dream? For some reason, thinking about her made me feel better and calmed me down a little. I felt warmth all over coming from the inside. Could it be her who brought me here? Then I need to find her. And the best place to look for her is away from here. I rushed to the left, then to the right. Stopped, hesitating over where to go. Finally, I ran in the direction from which the bus had probably came. Good luck. A wonderful day in the nature. Physical exercise does refresh one's mind. Thoughts become clearer and it gets a little easier to evaluate the surrounding reality. Just breathe that fresh air, breathe that fresh air. Not in my case, however. I was sitting on the roadside, wheezing and trying to ease my sore throat by gulping breaths of hot air. In any case, the run did its job. The fear withdrew for a while. Yeah, nothing like some exercise. Maybe I really am just dreaming. Though recalling my self-harm on the bus, I immediately rejected the idea. I am neither dreaming nor dead, said Simon. A narrow road ran through the field and far into the distance. That exact same road from my dream. I must be very far from home. And it's not that it was just winter yesterday and it's summer now. It's the whole environment. Of course, summer is usually like this, green and hot. But here everything is not entirely lifelike. Everything looks like it was taken from the paintings of Russian landscape artists of the 19th century, says the student. The grass is just too lush, the bushes are just not like what bushes should be. Oh, bushes. They are so thick you can't see anything through them, like tree tops, honestly, and the trees themselves. The forest was quite far away, but the trees looked as if they had closed their ranks and were now just waiting for the order to advance onto the fields and plains. You know how when you were a kid, you would walk through a dark forest, or maybe you saw there was a park, or maybe there was a park outside your house, and the trees look like they're actually trying to grab you. I caught my breath and looked at the bus, which is now barely visible. Save, I suppose. Empty slot. Save. Day 1. Alright. Back. I caught my breath and looked at the bus, which is now barely visible. That was a good run. Fear overtook me once again. Those power lines. There must be people here. I guess that's logical. If you follow a power line, eventually you'll find civilization. But what does it mean? In fact, that means nothing at all. Couldn't they have power lines even in hell? Roasting sinners over hot coals? That's so last century. I must have reached the point of no return, after which you either lose your mind completely or finally try to understand what is going on. And while I still have a choice, I should pick the second option. I slowly headed back to the bus. Of course it was scary. Couldn't I drive the bus? but I'm not likely to find an answer in the fields or the woods, and this wretched bucket of bolts is the only kind of link that I have with the real world. Well, I know English buses, they don't have keys. There's just a button that you need to press. I'm not sure about Russian buses or trams. Oh, I should carefully scout the area. Sovonyok means owlet. It does? Sovyonok? A brick wall in its grates crowned with an outlet sign. Statues of pioneers standing on either side, and a road sign nearby showing the bus route number 410. So I guess this is from the dream, so maybe we travel back in time or something? It says Pioneer Camp on the gate. And obviously those don't exist anymore. The trip's taking a bit too long today. I smirked. A person may start acting inappropriately in extreme situations. Something like that is probably going to happen to me now. This place didn't look abandoned at all. No rust on the gates, no damage to the walls, so I guess we did travel back in time. The 410 Kronika bus. What could have a name like that? Judging by the pioneer statues, it could be a kids' summer camp. Moreover, it appears to be open. Of course, the simplest explanation, logically speaking, explains nothing at all. The strange girl, the altered bus, summer, the pioneer camp. Because I guess the bus routes could have been, you could have a 410 in a city like Moscow, I guess, and then one that leads somewhere else entirely. Thousands of theories went through my head instantly. Alien abductions? Aliens. To lethargic sleep? Narcotics? Hallucination to a time and space shift? That's the best one. None was worse than the other, but there was really no way to pick a single one. Then it occurred to me, I can try to make a phone call. Okay. Dead. But instead of signal strength bars, the screen was showing a thick cross. Alright, there must be no such signal in such a remote place. Though I can't be the only one who came here. I imagine coverage is pretty bad if you're in the middle of nowhere in Russia. Buses don't drive themselves. They surely don't. And you could do it yourself. I examined the bus from all sides to make sure that it wasn't a hallucination. I mean, hell, there's probably bad signal in Kansas. Maybe that's too stereotypical. I've never been to Kansas, but if you're from Kansas, I apologize. Bits of dirt on the bottom, or some rust here and there, faded paint and worn out tires. No, this is definitely a very ordinary Icarus. Exactly the kind of bus which takes you to places beyond your understanding if you carelessly fall asleep. I gave a nervous chuckle. It came out by itself sporadically. I've actually fallen asleep on a bus and gone a bit more further than I have. But I never got somewhere like this. Because this wasn't the right place or the time to laugh. But where on earth is the driver? I cautiously sat down on the curb beside the bus and started to wait. My patience didn't last long. My anxiety seemed to have reached its peak, and I started to go slightly mad. In such a situation, anyone would have probably felt something similar. Aliens and parallel universes are gone from my imagination, leaving only void and darkness. Probably hungry. Is this how everything will end? How my life will end? But I wanted to do so much. There were so many things I had no time for yet. I was overwhelmed by the idea that this definitely was the end. But why? What did I do? It's not fair. Surely I'm no worse than anyone else. God, why? Tears were burning my eyes unbearably. I curled up and started rolling in the grass. Why? What did I do? Why me? But my cries were only heard by the speechless statues of the pioneers and a bird on a tree, which immediately flapped its wings and took off, crying out something in its own bird language indignantly, as if laughing at the idiot who dared to interrupt its after-dinner nap. Yeah, you jerk! I was left breathless from weeping and just lay quiet, sobbing uncontrollably. After a while, I managed to pull myself back together. Come on, Simon. I'm Simon. My mind cleared up a bit, as if terror and the fear of death gave me a little break. All in all, if someone wanted to kill me, what is all this for? If it doesn't look like an experiment either. Shall we play a little game? If this is just some crazy coincidence, then there's probably no threat. Anyway, for now it seems there's no danger. Maybe I fell asleep. No, maybe I took some narcotics, fell asleep, drove the bus myself, and then had a bout of amnesia. Or maybe the bus is just a magical time-travelling bus and the driver just buggered off somewhere. Anyway, it doesn't seem like there's any danger for now. The panic was soon gone. Good. Of course the blood was still pounding in my temples and my hands were shaking, but at least I could still think clearly. Right now, there's nothing I can change anyway. That's true. If you can't change a situation yourself, what's the point in worrying about it? So no matter how much I think or how mad I get, it'd only make things worse. Until some actual facts appear, there's really no point in making guesses. In any case, I won't learn anything by lounging about here. Very good idea. Maybe I could go explore the camp. This camp, if of course it really is a camp, looked like the only place where people could be, so I decided to go there and had hardly reached the gates when a girl came out from behind them, wearing a pioneer uniform. My logic didn't let me down this time. Then again, a pioneer uniform in the 21st century. Yeah, they stopped making those in like the 80s, I think, maybe the 90s. And then again, a girl here. I froze, unable to take a step. I felt very much like running away. Running as far away as I could from this place, far from the bus, gates, statues, and far from this bloody bird with its siesta. Just running, free like the wind, faster and faster, waving to the planets passing by, winking at the galaxies. Running, becoming a pulsar ray and turning into vestigial radiation, running to face the unknown. Run no matter where, as long as it is far away from this place. Meanwhile, the game closer. The girl came closer and smiled. I could not help but notice her beauty, even though I was trembling with fear. Like pioneer camps is basically like Boy Scouts, except everyone is sent to a certain location. That's, you know, obviously far from home, and they live there for like a few months in the summer. Human instincts work independent of consciousness, and while only 5% of the brain is responsible for cognitive processes, I think you're overthinking this, Simon. The remaining 95% are always busy sustaining life, and in particular, ensuring stable functioning of the hormonal system. I desperately wanted to get less complicated and stop thinking in formal quotes from an encyclopedia, though my thoughts appeared one by one being stupid, out of place, as if taken from an internal monologue of the hero of some junky softcover crime fiction book. A pretty Slavic face, long braids that look like 2 armfuls of fresh hay. My hair used to be described as fresh hay, and blue eyes you could drown in. Hi, you must have just arrived. Reply. Yeah. Alright then, welcome. She smiled broadly. Strange, it looked as if it was just a normal girl in front of me. Bah, I shouldn't have returned here. The woods and fields seem better. But what shall I do next? Try to speak with her as if she was a human? A human? Or run away, or what? The blood is pumping unbearably in my head, tearing it apart from the inside. I guess you don't speak to too many girls, I guess? A little bit more and the poor pioneer girl would be splattered with the gruesome contents of my skull. What's so funny about that? The girl looked me over. It sent shivers down my spine and my knees started to tremble. Nothing? Great then. Great? What's so great about that? Suddenly a thought crossed my mind. To hell with it all. Forget about the bus, The fact that it was winter yesterday, fuck it all. I wanted to rip off my itchy sweater and just accept that this is actually happening. Everything is as it should be. All this is for the best. Would you happen to know? You should go to our camp leader. She'll tell you everything. Look. You go straight ahead to the square, then turn left. You'll see several small cabins. She pointed at the gates as if I knew what was behind them. Dmitrievna is a patronymic, a derivative of a person's father's name, in this case Dmitri, put by Russians after the person's first name as a sign of respect or formal dress. So I guess like in England we have just the dad's name as the middle name. Well, you can ask where Olga Dmitrievna cabin is. I got it? Of course I did. What the fuck? Well, I've got to go now. Alright. The girl waved her hand at me and disappeared through the gates. It seemed as if to her I was something ordinary. And all this show with the bus and the travels while awake or asleep were troubling only to me, while everything here is just the way it's supposed to be. Camp leader, pioneer uniform. What? Are they doing a historical reenactment here? I hope I won't find Lenin standing atop an armoured car in this square. But even that would not surprise me now. After standing alone for a while, I headed into camp. A mere 50 meters ahead, a small, one-story house popped up on the left side. The sign near the door said, Clubs. Yep. I was about to come closer, when the door suddenly opened and a short girl wearing a pioneer uniform came out. Her pretty face gave me the impression of one suffering for the fate of the whole mankind, with a truly universal sorrow. As soon as she saw me, the girl froze as if frightened. I froze too, considering what was the best to do, approach first or wait till she shows some initiative. Or maybe run away. Although this last option was constantly being suggested, my only self-preservation instinct. This last option was constantly being suggested only by my self-preservation instinct. At least that's what I like to believe. Not the worst human instinct, but far from the most logical. If this instinct played poker against deductive abilities, the outcome would be predetermined. And those deductive abilities, or at least their semblance, were hinting to me that there was no need to be afraid of this girl. Suddenly someone jumped out of the nearby bushes. A girl wearing a bright red t-shirt with USSR written on it. Such a perfect reproduction of the age. She looked quite short from a distance and was probably younger than both pioneer girls. The one at the gates and this girl at the door of the clubs. At last I decided to come closer, but the USSR, as I called her in my mind, jumped towards the first girl and started telling her something while wildly waving her arms. Actually, the shirt incorrectly says USSR. It's supposedly 2 C's. The other girl in turn seemed confused and lowered her gaze, remaining silent. I would have probably continued to observe their amusing dialogue, but the USSR suddenly pulled something out of her pocket and started waving it in front of the first girl's face. This something turned out to be a grasshopper. Yee! The first girl squealed. She must be not too keen on insects, as she instantly rushed off towards the place where Lenin presumably made his speech about the workers' and peasants' revolution. That is to say, towards the square. Whoop! The USSR glanced at me, grinned playfully, and dashed after her. Not a bad start to the day. I have absolutely no idea where I am. Besides that, there are some kids here role-playing as pioneers. And as far as I can tell, this place is located thousands of kilometers away from my home. It might even be a different reality. And this was indeed a reality. I mean, everything around me looks so real, even if a little embellished, that I was starting to think that in fact my previous life could have been just a dream. What am I supposed to do now? I was picking at the cracked paving stones with my shoe and stared aimlessly at the club's building. And just a few more seconds before I have to come up with some decision. That's when I recalled myself rolling on the grass. Weeping, I cringed in disgust. Yeah, you pansy. Come on, man up. Perhaps it's another instinct. When all energy for whimpering and self-pitying is used up, the body either goes into hibernation or mobilizes its reserves. Mine seemed to have chosen the second option, because out of the blue I found a determination to figure out what was going on. Good idea. Good on you, man. And in order to do that, I had to act like a man, like a human, to maintain the dignity of a representative of my own world. That's right. I followed the path to the left. On the right side of the switch stood small cabins, apparently the homes of the local pioneers. Actually, they look quite cozy from the outside. They do look quite cozy. I wouldn't mind one of them. Even though I was born in the Soviet Union, I had never been part of its children's organizations, neither the pioneers nor even the younger October children. So I guess this guy, the main character, was born in the 90s, or I guess the late 80s. I imagined the daily life of a typical pioneer camp a bit differently. Huge barracks with long rows of metal bunks, wake-up call at 6 o'clock played by a siren, 1 minute to make your bed, then joining the formation at the drill square. Or wait, could I be confusing it with something else? Oh. Suddenly something struck me on the back. I staggered but remained on my feet, turned around and prepared to fight heroically for my life. But all I found was another girl standing before me. She looks kind of pissed. My mouth hung open in surprise. What are you doing? Pick your jaw off the ground. I closed my mouth. The same pioneer uniform, but the way she was wearing it looked, let's just say, provocative. Like all the girls I had met here before, this one was rather cute, but her overly arrogant expression killed any desire to get to know her better. New here, are you? Fine, see ya. She threw a threatening glance at me and walked past. I waited for the pioneer girl to turn at the corner. Who knows what else she might have been up to? The most interesting thing was that even this hostile girl seemed completely normal to me. She did not give off the feeling of some deadly danger, except maybe the danger of getting punched in the nose. At last I managed to make it to the square. Is that a guy holding his hand over his face? I don't know what that says. Genda. There was no linen on an armoured car, although one could easily expect something like this after all that has happened. Instead, however, a monument to a certain comrade towered in the middle of the square. The letters on the pedestal read Genda. Yeah, I got it right. Must be some figure in the party. There were some small benches at the sides. It's quite pleasant here. Where did that girl tell me to go? To the left or to the right? To the left, right, left, right. Why am I going there anyway? Ah, right. I've decided to pretend to be normal. So, to the right. Through a small grove, I came out at a pier. Wow. I must have taken a wrong turn. Yeah, clearly. Hey, wrong way. I turned towards the voice. Ooh, that first girl stood before me. Now, what did I tell you? Take a left at the square, wasn't it? She had changed from a pioneer uniform into a bikini. Oh, I still haven't introduced myself. My name is Slavia. Actually, my full name is Slaviana, but everyone calls me Slava. That's praise. That's praise. Americans have names like hope and praise. Destiny. So you can too. I guess Russians are the same. Yeah. I still felt a bit confused, so I could not come up with more meaningful answers. What's your name? It felt like she would see right through me. Yeah. Simon? Nice to meet you, Simon. Alright, I'm almost done here. Could you wait here a minute? I'm going to change and we'll go to Olga Dmitrovna's together. Agreed? Agreed. After this exchange, she ran off. I sat on the pier and let my feet hang into the water. I was wearing heavy winter boots, and in such weather there was nothing wrong in getting my feet wet. Furthermore, it let me cool myself a little. Looking at the river, I was brainstorming and processing everything that's happened. Mate, this makes me want summer so much. I love sailing. If this is some kind of conspiracy, it's a weird one. Even too friendly at times. No, it really looks more like a random event. Some entirely incomprehensible random event. Shall we go? Slava was standing beside me, dressed in the pioneer uniform again. Praise was standing beside me. Let's go. I've been here for a very short time, but of all the people I've met, she looks the least suspicious. However, this fact is already suspicious itself. We walked to the square. The USSR girl and the girl who hit me on the back were there, chasing each other. Is that some sort of game they're playing? Praise. Uliana, enough running. I'll tell everything to Olga Dmitrievna. Aye aye, Captain. I decided not to question Slava for a while about what was going on with the local residents. Better meet with this mysterious Olga Dmitrievna first. Sounds like she's the boss here. We walked past the rows of almost identical cabins, some of which looked like fat beer barrels, while others looked more like household sheds. Finally, Prey stopped in front of a very smallish one-story cabin. Oh wow, that looks very cozy. It looked like an artist's painting, the faded paint chipping here and there with age. Sparkling in the sun, the window shutters, slightly ajar, were swaying almost unnoticeably in the wind, and huge lilac bushes were growing at the sides. It seemed as if this ramshackle hut was drowning in a storm of purple silk, and the lilacs, like some elemental force, were inexorably destroying the troop leader's house. Beautiful. What are you standing around for? Let's go. Pray snapped me out of my daydreaming. And stop teasing Lena already. Jesus, what the fuck? Rena? This isn't supposed to be a horror game, but that startled me a lot because this is supposed to be like a nice story. Sounds like there's someone inside. Indeed, a moment later the door swung open and Uliana ran out and dashed past some with the same mischievous grin. The pigtailed girl came out next. Don't let it bother you, Lena, said Praise. So her name is Lena. Sarah. Gotta be thankful it's not Rena, at least. But I don't. Instead of finishing her sentence, she blushed and quickly headed towards the square. For some reason I felt like turning and following her with my eyes, but Praise said, Come. Alright. We entered the cabin. Who's that guy? On the left, that's weird. We entered the cabin. It's a weird thing to post in your room. Inside it looked something similar to what I imagined. 2 beds, table, a couple of chairs, a simple carpet on the floor, a wardrobe. Nothing special, but at the same time it felt homelike and cozy, although this room was almost in the same state of disorder as my own flat. The girl standing near the window appeared to be about 25 years old. Nature had obviously gifted her with a pretty face and a good body. At least one thing can keep you happy in this pandemonium. The locals are beautiful. You're finally here! Excellent! My name is Olga Dmitrievna and I'm the camp leader. Nice to meet you, I'm Simon. I decided to talk as if I wasn't surprised by anything that was going on. She came closer. We've been expecting you since early morning. You've been expecting me? Yes, of course. And when does the next bus come? Why do you need it? Yeah, why would I need it? Guess I shouldn't ask direct questions. The people may react to them quite unlike how I'd prefer. And I doubt I'd get any answers. No reason, just curious. By the way, where are we exactly? Our mailing address, I mean. I wanted to send a letter to my parents, tell them I got here fine. For some reason I had the desperate idea that if I played along, I would surely find something out. Oh, but your parents just called half an hour ago. Sent their regards to you. Now that's a surprise. So, can I call them? Because I forgot to tell them something before I left. No. She gave me a sweet, spontaneous smile. Why not? We don't have a phone here. Okay. How could my parents make a call to here? I've just come back from the district central town and I talked with them there. Ah, so that's how it is. Can I somehow get to the town? No. She kept the same smile. Why not? Because the next bus only comes in a week. I decided not to inquire how much the troop leader managed to get there and back. I would get no answer anyway. All this time, Praise was standing next to me and seemed to find nothing odd in our conversation. Oh, we need to find a uniform for you. I've got absolutely no idea to put on pioneer shorts or to wear that ridiculous red neckerchief. Oh yeah, they used to wear the... Americans wear yellow ones or green ones. I don't know. Yellow ones or green ones? And I guess they have red ones, obviously. However, wearing winter clothes in summer isn't a great idea either. Right, thank you. I wonder if I'm the only one who finds it strange that someone's wearing a coat and winter boots in such heat. Rightio, I'll be off then and you can get yourself acquainted with the camp. Don't forget to come to dinner in the evening. Having said that, she walked out the cabin. No, walked is not the right word. She rushed out. I ended up alone with Praise. I must go too, got things to do. Take a walk, look around the camp a bit. See you in the evening. If there is no threat or catch to this, then this reality, as embodied by Praise, becomes more and more appealing. For the first time today, I realised that it was awfully hot here, although obviously my winter clothes were to blame for that. I took off my coat and dropped it onto the bed. My pullover followed it. I was now only wearing the shirt. That's much better. All I could do now was follow their advice and go look around the camp. I'll try to find something out in the meantime. Passing the local residential district, I saw a pioneer guy coming my way. It really was a pioneer guy, not a pioneer girl. Apparently there are even men in this kingdom of Amazons. Hello, you're new here. You must be Simon, right? And how do you... Everyone knows. I'm electronic, by the way. The real one. You can call me that. Electronic means electronic. As in... electrician. Electronic... Oh. Never mind. Electronic was a robot character appearing in popular Soviet film and book series. He looked like an exact copy of a school kid called Sergei Chizikov. Alright. Electronic. Praise... No, Uliana also calls me Cheesy. Cheesy? On toast with mushrooms? Because my last name is Chizikov. I see. Let me show you around. I accepted his offer. I said it would take much longer to get to know this place alone. Fine, let's go. We ended up at the square again. I've got a friend. As if this place was all there is to the camp. Lena was sitting on one of the benches reading some book. Electronic confidently approached her. Hey Lena, meet the new guy, Simon. He started briskly. Hello. Well, you could say we've all met in a way. Yes, we've already met in a way. She looked away from the book, glanced at me, blushed, and went back to reading, as if not noticing that we were still here. Alright, let's go on. I was at first surprised that meeting this girl was reduced to a couple of words, but then I thought it was probably better this way. Electronic's vigorous activity did not fit well with Lena's shyness. Let's go! Next we came to a building which I instantly identified as a canteen. For Americans, a canteen is a cafeteria. And this here. I know! This is where you consume organic food! That's a weird thing to say. Yeah, something like that. On the canteen's porch stood the unfriendly girl who hit me on the back earlier. At the sight of her, my joking mood vanished in the blink of an eye. Really? This is not the best time to be pulling this guy's leg, even though he's quite hilarious. First I need to figure out what's here, or at least where I am. Hey, over there, that's Alisa Dvachevskaya. Be careful around here. He spoke in a whisper. Dva means two. The whole nickname sounds exactly like 2chan. Oh, in Russian, a reference to the late tuchan.ru anonymous image board. Don't ever risk calling her Dvache. She doesn't like that. Dvachevskaya. That means belonging to Tuchan. As in the name. What did you say? What did you call me? She must have heard him. In the blink of an eye, Elisa jumped down from the porch and dashed towards us. Alright, you'll manage from here on onwards. Electronic took to his heels. Oh gosh. Run after him. I decided I had no wish to come across this aggressive Alisa girl again and darted after Electronic. Running to the square, I lost sight of him. But Dachevska wasn't chasing me either. However, I really should not risk calling her that. I really shouldn't, even in my mind. After catching my breath, I wondered why I had reacted like that. Alright, she is a girl, an aggressive one, but why run away? I don't know. 'Cause the other guy did. Stampede reflex. Failing to find a good answer, I sat down on a bench and stared at the monument to Genda. Looks like I'll have to kill time alone, waiting for dinner. Man, I'm getting hungry. I decided to go east. At least in the direction where east would be in my world. In my world. Oh wow. Hey look, pull-up bars! I love pull-up bars. We could play some football, a football pitch. A game was in full swing there. I guess watching it for a bit wouldn't do any harm. In my childhood and teen years I was not a bad player myself and even thought of going professional. But a few injuries in a row killed my desire to risk my health for the sake of uncertain chance in the game. Kids of different ages were running around the pitch. I could see a boy about 10 and a girl about 14 years old. A girl? Hey, that's Uliana! Alright, so she plays football, so what's so surprising? She seems a restless one, I'll give her that. I was standing quite far from the pitch, but she still noticed me. Hey you! She looks like a cheerful one. Uliana shouted. Wanna play? I didn't know how to answer. On the one hand, running around for 10 minutes is no big deal. On the other hand, any wrong move in my situation could be a final one. But in any case, my attire wasn't suitable for this weather. If I played in winter boots and worn jeans, I would sweat like a pig. And playing barefoot and without jeans would be simply unethical. Maybe another time, right? I shouted in response, turned around and walked back. I was followed by Uliana's screams about my pants, or about me being a pansy, or something like that. Evening was falling, making me feel tired and empty after a day wasted with no real purpose. I came back to the square, sat down on a bench and gave an exhausted sigh. I better sit here and wait for dinner. After all, it's easier to search for answers when you're not hungry. Yeah, that's true. They do give food to people around here. You know, it's curious how the simplest human needs can break the will to ponder on things to strive for something. For example, I feel so hungry now, I feel hungry now, so I care much less about where I am or what is happening to me. Could great people also be affected by this? Of course, man. And in that case, how did Spartacus start the slave uprising in ancient times? I can only conclude that I am not a great person and it does not really matter which mechanism I serve as a gear in. Society, the Matrix, or a weird pioneer camp. True enough. Alright. Oh. My thoughts were interrupted by the sound of bells chiming from a loudspeaker on a light pole. It must be a dinner call. Oh, I headed towards the canteen. It was a good thing that now I knew where I was. It was. Olga Dmitrievna was there, standing on the porch. I stopped and looked closer at her, as if I was expecting something. She looked back at me for a while, but at last came closer. Simon, what are you waiting for? Come in already. Guess nothing bad can happen if I go with her. My stomach backed me up there. Good choice. Oh wow, there's a lot of people. The two of us went inside. The canteen looked like... What does it say in the walls? Работница? Такие кони нам не надо. So работница is like the words work and Sunday? No, пятница. Work and Friday connected together, and the other one, the other poster on the left says, I'm not really sure what it says. Maybe it says Takich koni, we don't need such horses, but I have no idea. The letters are blocked out. The canteen looked like a canteen. Amazing. I had a chance to visit a factory canteen at some point in my life. This one is exactly the same, just maybe a bit cleaner and more modern. Metal chairs and tables, glazed tiles on the walls and on the floor, unsophisticated tableware with the occasional crack. Guess that's what a canteen in a pioneer camp is supposed to look like. Simeon, wait a minute, we'll find a place to sit. We'll find you a place to sit. She looked around the place. Rachevske, hold it right there. Olga Dmitrievna shouted. Lisa was passing by. What? What's up with your clothes? Anything wrong with them? Indeed, her attire looked somewhat provocative. Get your uniform nice and neat right now. Alright, alright. Alisa got her shirt right, tucked it in, and walked past, shooting an unpleasant glare at me. So, where can I find you a place to sit? Well, there's plenty of empty chairs. Well, there's one right there. There weren't a lot of free seats. Get over there, next to Uliana. Okay? Maybe yeah, that's fine. The food's already on the table, too. I had no other choice but to accept. In common Russian language, kotleta, a cutlet in English, in British English, is minced meat fried or baked in the shape of a ball or cylinder. No, that's wrong. Close to American patties. Yeah, but American patties aren't in a bowl or cylinder. A kotleta is like a kind of flat, kind of like hamburger meat, but made out of actual meat. And it's got onions in it, breadcrumbs. It's very juicy, very thick. It's like it's a perfect kind of barbecue meat. Or, you know, I mean, usually people eat it with like pasta or rice. Compote is a drink made by boiling fresh or dried fruit in a large amount of water. Compote in French. Yeah, that's a French word. Okay. Of course, there was a probability that the cutlets were poisoned. The mashed potatoes generally seasoned with arsenic, and the glass filled with excellent antifreeze instead of compote. But it all looked so tasty that I had no chance to resist. I love cutlets and I love kotlety. I mean, I actually cook myself, and I make the English ones and I make the Russian ones as well. But it all looked so tasty that I had no chance to resist. Hey! What you want? Sorry, what you want? I replied rather rudely to Uliana, who was sitting next to me. Why didn't you play football with us? Because of my clothes, said I, pointing at the source of the problem. Oh, alright then, eat. They got all the Japanese mannerisms. However, there wasn't much left to eat. My cutlet was missing from the plate. Only she could have done it. No, more precisely, none but Uliana could have done it. Give me back my cutlet. In a big family, you snooze, you lose. It can cost you a cutlet if you are careless. Give it back, I'm telling you. Attempt to take the cutlet. Do you know how good cutlets are? English cutlets or Russian cutlets, they're amazing. This is worth injuring someone over, okay? I looked at her menacingly and was about to reach out my hand. See, I don't have it. And indeed, Olena's plate was empty. It seemed that this little girl eats as fast as she steals someone's cutlets. Yeah. She ate it already. Well, that leaves this episode, guys. I'm gonna cut it there. I'm gonna keep these episodes about an hour long, I think. Then we can finish it in a reasonable amount of time. And usually these kind of story games, the playthroughs are better if they're longer anyway. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed. I will be definitely continuing this. I'm trying to keep up the variety on my channel. And I hope you guys are having a fantastic time. Cheers.